topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
Good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Experts TV show, where for the last 17, we're almost going to be at 18 years in 2 more months. I cannot believe it's been that long. Hey, this morning we have got a great show for the next 50 minutes. I don't know how to say this because I try to be neutral with all my experts, but this expert has literally been with us over 15 years. He has helped so many people when that dreaded IRS has come after them. But what I really love about doing this show, and it's like the easiest show to do, is I have learned over the last couple of years, there are so many scam artists out there when it comes to tax resolutions. And I am so blessed that our show has this company's been in business for over 40 years. And I got to tell you, we have never had one negative caller, listener contact us. And it's such a pleasure to do this show. And Barry Fowler and I, who's the president of Taxation Solutions, I know he feels we have this great banter, and it makes the show so easy to do. Welcome, Barry Fowler.
Hey, good morning, Steve-O. It's, great to be here. Hey, I want to correct you. We got a complaint about our last show we did.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they told me I talk too much. And,
it's a talk show. It's a talk show.
So, I think it was my wife who was actually sent that message. And She goes, "You just need to stop talking so much and going on." She goes, "Can you at least let somebody else ask a question or something?" I don't know. But, we always have fun in life. We have fun together as husband and wife. We also work together and stuff, and almost as much fun as you and I have talking back and forth here on these shows over the years.
Barry, I got to tell you, what you have done with your company is amazing. Because what I know about Barry Fowler is he truly wants to help people. And when you call some of these national companies, Barry's a national company, but when you contact these national companies, you're getting an intake person. And that doesn't happen with Barry Fowler with Taxation Solutions. But Barry, I got to tell you, first of all, we're on TikTok now. It's probably one of the best moves I ever made. I love the fact that they can tell us how many people are listening or watch. Well, in this case, it's listening, and how many people like the show. And we're just starting right now. I got to share this with you. You're already at 904 likes already.
Oh, come on. We got to get to 1,000 really quick here. I mean, let's not, this early in the morning, we've got to have as many likes as the time is. So let's get over 1,000 likes. I love doing the show and I love helping people. And, my wife and I working together with the rest of our staff here, enjoy, hearing the stress, the relief coming from our clients. We had a new client just the other week. And a really interesting part is she paid somebody a lot of money and expected somebody to do something really quick. And they dragged their feet. We're going to miss the deadline. She called us. She had already called us before, but decided to go with this other company. And she called us back and went, well, they messed everything up. They started doing things personal instead of on the company. They brought my personal life into all this stuff. And now we have an extension. We need to get this filed. And the IRS is saying it's got to be filed by Friday. She goes, and they said they can't do it. We just got to go find something else. Gave us 2 days. Every place else she called said they couldn't do it. Said, no problem. We got agreement with her, done. Got everything done by Friday, which was the day after that she signed up. She's like, well, how'd you do this and nobody else can? Service. And that's what we're about, is being of service to you to help you fight the IRS, get a solution to the problem, and get things fixed as quickly as possible.
Barry, I got to tell you, there's so many people out there who've called on these commercials. And I bet you I've had in the last 6 months, at least 6 people who felt like they were scammed, and they're afraid to go with another company. And I really want to get across to these people, first of all, they're not taxation solutions. And I want you to just make people feel at ease about coming on board with taxation solutions.
Well, here's the thing, Steve. I've got 40 plus years experience in dealing with the IRS. I mean, I started this working against the IRS when I was knee high to the grasshopper, and, working with my dad when he was doing tax returns all those years ago, and then jumping off into my own and, fighting the IRS every step of the way. But there's a huge difference between us and many, many of the other companies out there, or people out there that are saying, hey, we can fight the IRS. If you attended some of the seminars that are put on by these companies trying to get everybody and anybody that has any kind of initials behind their name, or even if they don't, to jump off into the deep end of representation. And the first thing they tell people is, hey, don't be afraid going into representation because you can't do anything wrong. Scratched my head on that one. And I was like, I'm sitting in this because realistically, I want to see what you're teaching these people. What are you telling them? And you're telling them basically you can put people's life at risk, their family at risk, by not knowing what you're doing in representation. That is worse than an individual taxpayer going out there and doing it yourself. You don't know what you're doing, you got yourself in trouble. When you hire somebody and you pay them good money and they have no clue what they're really doing, or they're learning on you, that is just wrong. You got to have somebody that has expertise, has many, many tools in their arsenal to fight the IRS and know exactly what they're doing to keep you and your family out of trouble.
Well, the good thing is I've noticed some of these companies are no longer in business anymore, so it does catch up with them. We just got our first text from TikTok. If I'm in trouble with the IRS, will that always affect my future tax refunds?
Well, it depends on the trouble with the IRS. I mean, if you committed fraud, it's going to affect your life forever. If you owe the IRS money, it's going to affect your refunds because they will take the refunds to pay the debt back. If maybe you're in trouble because you're going through an audit, it doesn't affect your refunds in the future unless the audit turns out negative and you owe money, then they will again take the money on each and every refund. So, we look at every bit of that. We also look at what your withholding is if you're a W-2 employee. We look at your taxes and estimated taxes if you're self-employed or running a business, to make sure that you're not overpaying, that you're paying just the amount of money that you need to pay on taxes. So there's not keeping of a refund out there. So there's a lot of different things we can do to manipulate the way the withholding is on your W-2 check or estimated tax payments to make sure you're making the correct amount so that you're not overpaying, so there's not money that's being kept. And then work with the IRS to set you up on the right plan, whether it's a installment agreement, non-collectible status, offering compromise, partial pay installment agreement, or maybe it's a 180-day full pay hold. Any number of those things can be used to benefit you and put your position correctly in front of the IRS and get it resolved.
This is YouTube. I just went to your website, meaning yours, Barry, and I'm curious, what is EA mean?
EA, enrolled agent. My dad asked that same question when I became an EA. I had my CPA license and then I became an enrolled agent. Well, an enrolled agent is actually licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent you, the taxpayer, to the highest levels of the IRS. When we get our enrolled agent license, we get tested fully on completely everything about tax. I mean, things you couldn't even think about in taxes and go, really? That is part of the tax code? Yes, we had to know the tax code in and out. And then once we get tested and we pass the 4-part test, then you get fingerprinted and a full background check by the FBI. That's kind of intimidating when you're sitting here thinking about it. I just got my EA license and I've got to be fully background checked by the FBI. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing besides representing people on taxpayers against the IRS, but I guess they want to make sure that I'm not, some kind of criminal out there to come after the IRS. No, I'm just the expert that knows how to defeat the IRS using our own arsenal and our own tools to be able to do that. So we're licensed to represent you, the taxpayer, to the highest levels of the IRS. And we have more knowledge about taxes than most CPAs do, or tax attorneys or other attorneys that try to get out of here and do the representation.
Here's kind of an unusual question. It's from Brooklyn, New York. I don't know if your expert has been following what's going on in New York City with the mayor trying to tax homeowners with a second home, high income. Can a local mayor actually do that?
That local mayor, unfortunately, thinks he can do anything and everything and even arrest the prime minister of Israel. So, whether he can or not, no, I don't think he can. I don't think he can put those kind of things in place. I don't know the actual laws behind what's happening in New York, but I got to say, you have a lot of people in New York that decided they wanted to elect a Muslim socialist, and he's trying to basically decimate that city. And unfortunately, great city like New York should not have a mayor like that. And unfortunately, you do.
Yes.
That's why voting counts.
Yeah, we're having voting here today in Florida, and I'm also watching what's going on where you're at in Texas. But anyway, I just, when we do a national show, we get calls, texts from everywhere. Here's one from Larry in Nashville. If I sign on with your company, can the IRS collections or garnishments come after me? Can you stop that and while you explore my options, you got that right. While you explore my options, basically, can you stop collections and garnishments when your company is talking to the IRS in his behalf?
So what we do is we step right into your shoes right off the bat, and we make phone calls to the IRS as soon as we've got power of attorney, and we do everything we can to stop liens or levies, wage garnishments, Social Security garnishments while we're working with the IRS. Now, there are going to be times, to be honest with you, we cannot stop them because why? Either you really upset a revenue officer because you made agreements with them and then never followed through. You've upset not only that revenue officer, but you've upset their manager. And so therefore they're not going to release, those wage garnishments or those levies on you or Social Security garnishments because they right now have you by the gonads and they're going to pull those strings until you fall into line and be compliant. Now, once we get denials, we can potentially file for some appeals. But if you've already messed that up, then it's hard for us to do that as well. So that's why representation counts, and it starts, right from the beginning. Now, we talked about those bad people that are in this industry. And I mean, there are bad people in this industry, just like everywhere else, that are just learning, and they've messed it up for you as well. So having the right representation, such as us at Taxation Solutions, means the world to you getting started the right way. And, hey, if you want to know how to contact us, call us at 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. If you're afraid to make that phone call yourself, go to taxationsolutions.net. And you can contact us over there. We can schedule a time, an appointment that we can talk and chat about your problem and talk about what kind of solutions are possible for you to stop the IRS as well.
I just got a text. When on TikTok, they don't have, like on YouTube, they give their name and where they're from. On TikTok, they've got these handles. This is from You Are True. He said, this is amazing. He said, your expert should also have his own radio show. Guess what?
Hey, you got it. I'll tell you what, next Monday, we're going to start a radio show just for you. All right. So Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, it's Tax Talk for you. So it's Tax Talk, the number 4, letter U.com. You can follow us over there and then never miss an episode of Tax Talk for You, which is Mondays on W4CY Radio at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And hey, just because I'm saying it's the first program, we've been doing this for a couple of years, but for you, it'll be the first. So tune in then.
I love promoting your show. I've heard several of them. You've got a great show. Let me go to, we've got all these questions coming in. Terry in Raleigh. He said, I hired a firm that charged me an arm and a leg and did nothing. Duh. After hearing several of your shows, do you think I can get out of my agreement to hire your company? I'm sure you've had people do that in the past.
If you stop paying them, you can walk away. You're not going to get your money back because all agreements are going to be non-refundable. And the reason they do that is because there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes that we're consistently working on and making sure that, hey, you're protected, making sure that we're moving the case along the way. A lot of companies out there, unfortunately, don't move the cases along. With us, we keep you informed. We tell you where we're going and where we're at with it and continually do that. We have live people that answer our phones. Every now and then you may hit our answering machine, but it should be rolling over to somebody live that's going to answer that phone. But sometimes one or two slip through. But we're going to be in touch with you. We're also going to be emailing or texting with you so that you are aware of where we're at and where we're going. I get accused of being overly communicative, meaning that, hey, we're always telling clients where we're at, even if there's nothing's changed in their case. And they're like, why are you calling? Because we want you to be updated. We want you to know where we're at. And we want to know that, hey, we're going to be in contact with you every step of the way, so that if there is a time that we need something really quick, you're going to be able to do it for us and get it for us so that we can keep the solution moving to your benefit. Last thing we want to see is, hey, you getting a levy put on you because we can't get a hold of you and we can't get the information that's required to be turned in. We have a client right now. They've dragged their feet. And we've told them time and time again, hey, you have got to provide this information to us. They ignored us for like 2 or 3 months. And then they go, well, why aren't you in contact? We've texted you every week for the last 2 or 3 months. We've called you every week for the last 2 or 3 months. And we've emailed you. Oh, yeah, I was just too busy. We can't afford for you to be too busy. You can't afford to be too busy. That's why we stay in contact, so that you're aware of what we're doing, where we're at, so that we don't run into those situations, so that you can get the solution and get it done right in the right timing.
This is from Jordan in Louisville. He wants to know, what are some of the misnomers people have about dealing with the IRS and the process? You got a list?
I've got a list. Let's just go with the very first one. They're from the government and I'm here to help. I'm your friend. Well, with friends like that, who needs enemies, right?
Right.
I always quote Ronald Reagan. He says, man, when somebody shows up and says, hey, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, you turn around and run. We have a revenue officer very aggressive revenue officer. A client came to us for tax analysis. And the first thing the revenue officer said to me is, I was helping them. And I don't know why they came to you to get help.
Oh.
And I went, well, ma'am, what help were you actually giving him? Because you levied every person he was working for as a contractor, and he has no money coming in. Well, I was trying to help him to make sure that he knew that I was serious about getting this worked out. Ma'am, you just put him out of business. That's not my problem, but I'm helping him. Like I said, with a friend like that, who needs enemies, right? She just put him out of business. They tell you, hey, you can manage and do this yourself. People think that all along. I think I'm a great do-it-yourselfer for electrical, plumbing, you name it, out on our ranch. My wife knows better. So she gets a professional in to do the things that should be done and get them done right and cheaper, and probably keeps me alive because I'm not messing with hot electrical, because who turns off the breaker when they're working with electrical, right?
Right.
You're supposed to. Yeah, I actually do. But, my wife doesn't think I do. So she calls that electrician either before I get to it or, while I'm doing it, so that they can come back in and fix it. But doing it yourself sometimes causes those problems. It may sound easy. Maybe you watch that YouTube video. Maybe you watch it on TikTok. Maybe you watch it somewhere else that says, hey, this is how you do it. You get things wrong, and it ends up with a levy on your bank account, or garnishments, or even to the point of shutting you down. So, those are the two biggest things that you've got to watch out for. When you have an IRS problem, you owe them money, or you're even going through an audit, you got to make sure that, hey, you have the right professional help. It may seem like a lot of money, but in most cases, we save a lot more than what you're actually going to be paying.
Plus, Barry, I've learned from you that by them talking to the IRS themselves can dig them even a deeper hole.
Oh, absolutely. IRS asks those seemingly innocent questions. And matter of fact, what that ends up doing is blowing up right in your face. I mean, take it from the guy that the revenue officer was talking to him and was his friend. And they were having maybe a casual conversation here. How can I help you? I'm here to help. Who do you work for? What kind of work do you do? Who are you contracted with? And then as soon as he didn't do the one thing that she wanted him to do, she levied against those people, those very people that he so innocently told her about, now has no money coming in. Basically put him out of business. He can't do any work. He can't do anything. So it's sometimes those seemingly innocent questions. Now, when they're talking to me, I know how to answer those questions. I know how to defer those questions. And I know how to say, hey, I'll get back to you or get the information for you. And then be able to use the tools in my arsenal to put this revenue officer offer in their place or get the solution moving in the right direction so that we have a solution to the problem, not creating a bigger problem on top of a problem that's already there.
This is from TikTok. This is Jordash from TikTok. He wants to know, if I retain your firm, what do I need to prepare before we start the process?
Well, realistically, if you're going to retain me, the first thing we're going to do is sit down and have a conversation. We're going to have talk about what you owe, what we're looking at. We're going to go through and do a complete tax analysis. At that point, we're also going to give you a worksheet, a financial worksheet, so you can start putting together financial information for us. Doesn't have to be 100% accurate in numbers, but it needs to have everything on there, everything disclosed. So you may not know exactly how much is left on your mortgage. We just need to know a roundabout number. We need to know what you're paying. We need to know, all the different expenses and stuff out there and everything that you own. So nothing needs to be prepared up front. We're going to get your Social Security information. We're going to get your spouses, and we're going to prepare powers of attorney. We're going to prepare agreements, and you're going to get all that stuff done. And then we're going to start representing you. And then we'll come back to you and say, hey, these are all the other things that we need, and start moving to the next part of the engagement, which is the solution to the problem, to get rid of the IRS once and for all off of your back. And even better yet, your spouse's back, and make her happy.
Robert in Los Angeles, I'm really enjoying your show. How can an eligible taxpayer have interest waived? I guess he means penalties.
Well, some people ask for interest to be waived, and interest does not get waived. IRS charges interest and will not waive interest. Now, they'll reduce the interest if maybe the taxes are reduced, but they will do penalty abatements. There are many reasons why they can do penalty abatements. A lot of times it's hit or miss whether you can get a penalty abatement, but if we have a good enough reason and can show proof with that reason, we can get penalties abated and reduce some of that burden that you owe the IRS. And then the interest on those penalties also goes away, so it saves you a little bit more money on top of that. But interest itself, IRS is going to continue to charge that interest, and it's just going to continue to grow. There's nothing the IRS is going to do about that. They don't offer 0% financing on your tax debt. They're going to charge you that full interest rate.
Ooh, here's your backyard, Sheila, in downtown Houston. Does bankruptcy get rid of past due taxes?
Yes, no, and sometimes. Man, isn't that a great answer, Sheila?
Well, I've heard that one before from you.
So, if it's current tax debt, IRS is not going to resolve that in bankruptcy. If I think it's 3 years or older, they can resolve that in bankruptcy. but you have to make sure you filed your tax returns, and you got to follow all the guidelines that the IRS has for your tax debt. Talk to your attorney who's filing bankruptcy. Make sure they know the ins and outs of the IRS for bankruptcy. So a lot of times we'll have somebody with a lot of debt going way back, and they really should be in bankruptcy. We can refer out to a bankruptcy attorney so that they can clear not just the IRS debt, but maybe personal debt out there. But again, you got to be in compliance for any of that to happen. So we've got to make sure the compliance part of it is done before you even go and declare for bankruptcy. And just to be clear, I'm not an attorney, never wanted to be an attorney, and don't charge legal fees. So, when it comes to question of law like bankruptcy, we refer you back to your bankruptcy attorney who should know that ins and outs as well.
I got to read this. This is from a gentleman, and please don't use my name, Bloomington, Indiana. He said, I just want to compliment you on your format of your show. And I came up with this format a long time ago. I was watching in Dallas, Texas, every Sunday, the general manager at a TV station, WFAA in Dallas. And every week they'd have the general manager of the station come on, and people would write their questions in. And I just sat there every Sunday, and I thought that was the neatest concept. And that's basically how I adapted this concept. It does help when you've got an expert on as good as Barry Fowler, and that you've got, a good rapport with. Barry and I have a great banner, makes the show really interesting. And Barry is a veteran at radio and now podcast. So a lot of ways to thank us for the format of the show. Let me go to Tracy. She said, a friend of mine told me about non-collectible status. Can you explain what that is?
Well, non-collectible status, it is a status where the IRS will put you for about 2 years to say, we're not going to pursue collections on you because you have no ability to pay. Now, we use that at times for different clients, and it depends on the situation. Sometimes we're looking at statute of limitations that are going to run out on debt, and we can put them into non-collectible status and watch the debt fall off of the IRS records and not be collectible anymore. Other times we use it when somebody's going to be permanently maybe on low income, being Social Security or something that can never afford to pay. We'll use that because it'll allow them to not pay a dime on their debt, and it settles the debt more effectively than doing something like an offer in compromise. So we have to look at everybody's situation because everybody's situation is different. If you have a lot of debt and you're not going to see life change at all, then maybe non-collectibles for you. Maybe that's all you can afford, but maybe you've got equity in other assets, and you don't want to give up those assets. So we need to prove that we can put you in a non-collectible status for a couple of years, give you a chance to either get back on your feet and start paying something, or maybe it's a status that'll stay out there, until the debt rolls away. But basically, it stays collections with the IRS, so they're not coming after you. Hey, Steve, you were talking about the format of the show. I love the format of the show. Being on, TikTok, being on YouTube, being on W4CY radio and every other place that these podcasts go out to, as well, is much different than we started years and years ago. That very first time that I met you, you had me come out to Florida, and my wife and I came out to Florida, and we're doing a radio show, I think it was, but it was also videotaped back then. I still have that one. We still play that occasionally. And, we both looked a lot younger back then too.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun. And I remember that show vividly because I hadn't done much radio at that time. And we came in and you were like, do you have notes or questions? And I went, what? I said, what are we supposed to be doing here? I thought we were just having a conversation. And you went, well, most people come here and they're, we pre-do this and give you a list, give me a list of questions. And I went, well, I didn't come prepared. I just came with, intro because you didn't know me. So I gave you the intro and we sat there and had that, I don't know, what, 30, 45-minute conversation, right there on air live and recorded. And by the time we were done, he was like, wow, we managed to do this pretty quick. And I said, well, this is what I always thought radio was. And then I found out that a lot of these experts come in there and they give people scripts.
Right, exactly.
So that they're reading from a script. And I'm like, no, Steve would just stump me. Bring the questions on. This is the difference between expertise and coming in with basically a script on how you're going to do it. And every single radio program we did across the country, whether it was with you or, the radio station in Florida or Kansas or Houston or Chicago or wherever we were, we did the same thing. We gave them the intro and said, just shoot questions. Let's do it. Whether I was in an office doing it or I was at a baseball field watching my son play, we just took questions and tried to help people answer their questions because that's what this is about.
It's funny you said that, Barry, because we had a lot of TV stations that came to us wanting us to move our show over from radio to TV. And I actually tried one and they want it scripted out because they're like, oh no, we can't go off script. We have to know. And it just takes away from the show. So I never did TV. With podcasts. They don't care. YouTube doesn't care. It just, I think, just makes the show so much more interesting. By the way, we're over 2,000 likes now here on TikTok. If you have a question for Barry, please put it in the chat line. We're talking about tax relief. We'll try to get your question on. We've got a lot of questions here to go. And Barry, I got to tell you, you know what? Looking back 15, 16 years ago, there is no one. Think about all the people who've sent in questions. We've never had anybody stump you.
See, you're throwing the gauntlet down here again. Somebody's going to try.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, Steve. I've been counting states. We're still missing a few states. We didn't have anybody from Maine yet, or the Carolinas, or Alaska, or Hawaii. So if I've got to travel to one of those states to get questions, just let me know. We'll take a trip and go there so we can get some questions there. I got clients in every state in the union. Alaska, Hawaii, Maine, Florida, California, Washington, Oregon, and every state in between out there. And the reason I say I take trips here and there is because when I went out to Hawaii, I had not had a client. And when I was out for the first time in Hawaii, we got 2 clients, while I was there. Now, I take credit for it because I did do a radio program out there while I was there. Although I was in Hawaii, I was actually on the phone with radio back in Houston, I believe it was at the time, or may have been the Florida location. And, but I did get a client shortly after that in Hawaii. So
I remember that, Barry. It was one of the first callers. I remember that client in Hawaii. And I was wondering, how does someone from Hawaii, because we were a Florida station, but, our producers at the time were way ahead of their time. People could get radio from anywhere, thanks to Mark Cuban. But that was like one of our first calls was from Hawaii. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. So, it's a fun time. So, hey, we're looking for questions from every state. While we're on here nationally, let's try to get every state into the books.
This is from Ken in Oklahoma City. I really enjoy your show. What are the potential consequences of owing back taxes to the IRS? Ooh, that's a good one.
Well, it really depends, because if you're actually dealing with it, the consequences are not there. I mean, it's just setting up maybe a payment plan or resolving the issue and putting it to bed. But if you're not dealing with it, that's where the IRS moves down that road that's detrimental to your life. They're going to start out putting a lien on you, everything you own, all your property. If you're in business, your equipment, you name it, cars, the whole works will have liens on it. Then they start out, if you're W-2, they can come and garnish your wages. They can levy your bank account. If you're self-employed or independent contractor or running a business, they can now levy your bank account even before payday. You're not required by law to have the money in there. If you owe the IRS, they could take it all before payday, and you can't pay your employees, and then you don't have any employees. They can have levy against anybody that's supposed to be paying you money. So if you're working 1099 and the IRS finds out who you're doing work for, they can levy against them. If you owe a lot of money, they're going to send you notices as well that says they can contact friends, family, neighbors about you and find out information about you.
Oh.
Now, if they get to that point of doing it, now everybody and their brother knows, that you have a tax problem. So it's not letting it get to that point. It's pulling your head out of the sand and dealing with the problem. Putting your head in the sand never solved anything. And, it's not going to solve your tax problems. Ignoring it or throwing those envelopes and those letters that they send you right into the circular file, the trash, isn't going to resolve your tax problem. It's going to eventually get somebody that's going to be upset and mad, that's going to go after everything that you possibly own, including your retirement accounts, Social Security, wages, you name it, they can go after it.
This is from Julie in Shreveport. She said, I enjoy a lot of the Ask the Expert shows. Thank you so much for educating us. This show just happens to be my favorite show. That's got to be a relative, Barry. Got to be.
Unfortunately, I don't have any relatives in Louisiana. I do have some friends over in Louisiana, but I don't think they like me enough to come out here and say something like that.
So her question is, what if paying my back taxes causes me undue hardship?
It depends on what the undue hardship is, and then it depends on the assets that you have, equity in a house, retirement accounts, and so forth. We might be able to go after that offer and compromise. Don't let somebody that you call just tell you right off the bat on the phone, oh, yeah, I'll get you an offer. This isn't the, as I say, Oprah Winfrey show that says you get an offer and you get an offer and you get an offer. No, you've got to actually qualify to be able to get an offer and compromise the IRS. Now, maybe it's a payment plan. Maybe it's a partial pay installment agreement. Maybe it's non-collectible status. But we're going to work with you to find the right solution to your problem, to make sure it meets what you can afford to pay within the IRS rules and guidelines, and walk you down that. If we've got to manipulate and do things and help you redo things in your life to help you qualify better, then we're going to talk about those financial things that you can be doing as well to make the resolution fit your now financial position that you're in. Now, I'll be honest, I can't do anything unless you actually make the phone call. We don't call you. You have to call us or contact us through our website at taxationsolutions.net. That phone number is 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016. You can find that number right on our website at taxationsolutions.net. Call us. It's a free call, free consultation. We want to talk to you, work with you to figure out the best solution. Now, if we can't resolve your problem, or there's a simple way you can resolve it, we're going to tell you that right up front as well, so that you can go and resolve this problem yourself without having to pay us. And when we tell you that, it means you're not going to be in a position where you're going to hurt yourself by talking to the IRS as well.
Here's a great one, Barry. You'll love this one. This is from Mona in Georgetown, right outside the college I went to. My husband is in trouble with the IRS. I have told him about your company. He keeps procrastinating. Any ideas you can give me to get him to pick up that phone and call you? It's actually starting to hurt our marriage.
Quit waiting on him. Pick up the phone yourself.
Ooh.
We tell spouses, if the debt is joint, you have just as much right to work with us as he does. If he is not going to man up and deal with the problem, then you show him that you can deal with the problem to help the family, because it's about helping the family, getting your family life back and getting the stress off of you. And you can also tell him, if he's not going to do it, you're going to do it. If he's not going to man up, you will. If he's afraid of being judged, we have that famous no judgment zone here at Taxation Solutions to figure out the solution to the problem, to get that life back, get that great night of sleep back, to be able to not be looking over your shoulders and worrying what the IRS is going to do. But it takes calling that 888-930-1016. Hey, no cost, free consultation. Make that call. If you won't, you should.
Ooh, here's another New York City. Drake, I have not filed in years. Should I wait to get the letter from the IRS or contact you now, even though they're not after me yet?
Hey, call us right now, 888-930-1016. Hey, everybody listening to Ask the Experts, if you mention Ask the Experts, we give you special discounts. Don't wait on the IRS to file substitute for return or send you nasty letters. Substitute for return is going to make your tax debt 2, 3, 4 times higher than what it should be. So don't wait, don't delay. Let's just get ahead of the problem. And it's easier to get ahead of it before they start giving you a 1 week, 2 week, or 3 week deadline to get all those tax returns in. Let's get them done. Let's get them done so that you don't have that issue out there in the future.
Marvin this is in Tulsa. He wants to know how, I know every person's situation is different. I realize that. But what is the normal time it takes you to settle a case with the IRS?
Normal time frame all depends on the IRS and what the situation and what the solution is. It could be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years. We've seen where the IRS drags their feet, like on offering compromises, and they go for 1.5 to 2 years before they're said and done. We try to push it through as fast as possible, but then sometimes it's just sit and wait. And so everybody's situation is different. Everybody's timeline is different. And we've just kind of got to work through it to see, where we're going to go and how we're going to go.
Barry, again, your show is every Monday at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Tell people again how they can reach your office.
Our office number is 888-930-1016. Again, 888-930-1016 or taxationsolutions.net. Again, taxationsolutions.net. Hey, Steve, man, we always having fun and time always flies. And,
I know people said you got an hour show. I mean, it's actually 50 minutes. How do you have enough content? I said, we never have a problem with that at all. I'm looking, we got about 20 more questions. Barry's with us twice a month. We do a local Houston show, and then we also do our national show. Barry, I can't thank you enough. You know how much I love doing the show with you, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you, Steve-O, man. We always appreciate it. And everybody, thanks for the questions, and God bless you, Steve-O, and everybody else that's listening out here. Have a God blessed and glorious week, and we'll see you again soon.
You're amazing. That's Barry Fowler with Taxation Solutions. Folks, listen, don't go up against the IRS yourself. Give Barry a call. I promise you he'll take care of you. That's going to do it for us today. Believe it or not, we'll be back again tomorrow with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.